Behind each factor causing urban poverty, whether it be industrial transformation, human capital, discrimination, the underclass, the spatial mismatch, migration, or the endogenous growth deficit, stands public policy. Public policies shape opportunities and change the social arrangements through their very existence. Federal policies have affected poverty indirectly through their effects on migration, the spatial mismatch, and the underclass. For example, the federal aid for home buying and highway construction created white flight and the middle-class exodus from the cities. The concentration of publicly built low-income housing in the inner city and the weak federal enforcement of anti-discrimination laws had the effect of encouraging concentration of impoverished families in the inner city. The federal urban renewal program was another policy that impacted the inner city. The policy goal of the 1949 Housing Act was a decent home and suitable living environment for every American family. Its public purpose was to eliminate bad housing, not to rehouse those that lived in poverty. And in effect, urban renewal was to eliminate blight or declining property values, not to clear and rebuild slums for their residents. What it did was to relocate the housing projects into areas which much of the public thought was undesirable. While the current Section 8 housing vouchers do help to minimize this issue, we still have areas that have been rebuilt under the concept of urban renewal, which seeks to revitalize areas and bring in businesses, but these businesses often are not suitably matched to the residents that live there. Complex social phenomena rarely have simple causes, despite the assertion of those who claim to have answers to social problems. There is substantial evidence that elements of all 8 hypotheses contribute to inner-city poverty in a significant way. The inner-city poor do lack human capital in comparison to other groups. They are segregated and detached from the labor market. Demand for their skills at manual labor has declined. They face discrimination in employment and housing. They live in a social milieu that reinforces detachment from the mainstream economy, though how much that milieu results in a different set of values and behaviors is subject to much debate. Similarly, segregation has separated the inner-city poor physically from employment opportunities, but there is no clear agreement about the impact of that separation. Their communities have weakened in the past 4 decades, but whether this is due to outmigration by the middle class or has resulted in that migration has not been determined. They face competition from new immigrants, but these immigrants also create employment opportunities. Their communities do not generate new businesses, but whether that deficit is crucial for employment opportunities is not known. Finally, they have disproportionately experienced negative effects from public policy.